Hey everyone, welcome to the Oasis podcast. I'm your host, Miss AJ. Thanks for tuning in. An oasis is something that provides refuge, relief, or a pleasant contrast, and that is exactly what you will find tuning into the Oasis podcast. This is a space where I and special guests will be cultivating intentional and honest conversations about life's journey. Subscribe everywhere you listen to podcasts and watch us on YouTube now. Wouldn't you love to create your own personal oasis? What is an oasis, you ask? An oasis is something that provides refuge, relief, or a pleasant contrast, and that is exactly what you will find at AJO Consulting Services, LLC. AJO Consulting Services is a company that provides individuals, communities, and businesses of color with coaching and consulting services, personal and professional development, as well as social and community connection services. These services include, but are not limited to, dating, life, relationship, and business coaching, finance management, travel experience curation, wellness navigation, and much more. Are you ready to find, connect, and release? Come experience your oasis today. Visit our website to learn more at www.AJOconsultingservices.com. Follow us on Facebook at AJO Consulting and Instagram at AJO Consult. Also, email us at info@AJOconsultingservices.com. Welcome back to the Oasis podcast. Thank you everyone for joining us again. I wanted to start out by thanking the listeners. You guys really enjoyed the last episode, Best Friend, and I thank you for that. Myself and my guests were very happy to hear the feedback, so definitely keep that coming, keep the comments coming. Both positive and negative criticisms are welcome because that's how you grow, so we're definitely open to that. But I thank you all for continuing to listen, continuing to support. I had so many people DMing me, telling me what they thought about it, how certain episodes in general resonate with them, but it seems that Best Friends definitely was something that touched home for a lot of people, and so I definitely appreciate that. It definitely gives me the drive to keep going, because y'all at this point, life, okay? Adulting and all that other good stuff, which I'll get into a little bit later. Keeping up with the podcast, remembering to edit, record, to make sure you guys have new content. It's definitely takes some time, effort on my part for sure, and as well as dealing with work and other things that are going on in life. So I definitely love the fuel you guys are providing, so thank you for that. And happy Halloween. By the time you guys hear this, it'll be Halloween. And so what do you guys do on Halloween? You know what I'm saying? I know not everyone celebrates. If you're anything like me, I didn't really start celebrating Halloween until I was older. And so I enjoy Halloween. I enjoy seeing the kiddies dress up, but I also enjoy partaking myself. So I dress up from time to time. This year, I didn't really give thought to it. Too much going on, honestly. I wasn't even really thinking about it. But usually what's a kind of, I guess you could say, a tradition so far, I guess one we created for my nephews, my sister and I, because, you know, their dad is really religious. He doesn't like the whole idea of Halloween and all that. So that the boys don't feel left out, we, you know, they get costumes or whatever that they could wear either to school and at home. But then we take them out. Like, we'll take them to some place to eat. And prior to Halloween, I'll like have them for a day or the weekend or whatever, and we'll do like little stuff. We'll watch scary movies, we'll do Halloween arts and crafts, of course there's candy involved, and so they get to partake that way. But that'll be my plans for Halloween, honestly. Taking the boys out, getting some food, talking, you know, just spending time with family and friends, and just enjoying the day in that way. And of course, watching all the little kids dressed up, trick-or-treating, and figuring out who they are, which is also so cute. So that's my Halloween plans. I hope your Halloween is a lot more fun-filled than mine is. So y'all, let me tell you how adulting, oh Lord, is not fun. So I mentioned when we came back from summer break, the different things that we will talk about and touch on. And I hope I've been keeping my word on that. And so keeping to that, I wanted to talk to you all about my home buying process. Oh boy. Right now I'm currently in the thick of things, and I guess I'll expand on that a little bit later, but I have been trying to buy a home for like 3 years now, and I know y'all gonna hear that and be like, what? But it is such a tedious process. I'm not gonna say that it's hard per se, but it is not for the weak-minded. It is not for the disorganized. It is definitely something that I encourage people to do, of course, to build that wealth. You know, I'm always for that. However, definitely do, if you're planning on buying a home for whatever the reasons, to make sure you're ready mentally, emotionally, and actually financially too, right? And that's like the different parts of the process of buying a home. I think readying yourself mentally, it may take people a little time to do that. For me, that's not you know what, that's not even true. I jumped in it and I wasn't necessarily mentally prepared. And that's why it took me 3 years, right? I jumped in, I was like, you know what, I want to buy a house. You know, I had a little bit of money saved up, and I was like, why not, you know? And I didn't really think about kind of how much it would take. At the time, I was hoping to be guided by my siblings who already own homes. I'm like the only one in my immediate family. When I say immediate, I mean siblings and mom, who doesn't own property. My other family, extended family, they also own properties, but they live in other states. So in like my immediate family here in New York, who doesn't own a property. And I guess I was feeling like, oh my gosh, you need to catch up, right? And I was hoping that I was going to be guided through the process. And that's not exactly what happened. And so I got really overwhelmed, like with all the lingo and the terminology and just the steps. For me, I'm pretty organized. So getting documents together wasn't the hard thing. It was annoying, of course, and tedious, but it wasn't hard for me because like I said, I'm organized. I know where things are. That's not an issue for me. It was really figuring everything out, like wrapping your brain around everything, honestly, the terms that is being thrown at you. If you're doing it through a program, you know, having to deal with a counselor and you're hoping that person is competent. And so having to deal with that first year, I did a program. And again, I'm not going to name these programs because one, I ain't giving them free advertising. But if you're interested, DM me, of course, and I can give you their name, and I can give you a little bit more information about how the process went, depending on whatever your questions are. But I did a first-time homeowners program when I first started, and my counselor wasn't necessarily the most competent, and therefore, yeah, she wasn't very clear on things. And so I had to do a lot of footwork myself, which is fine because once you learn something, you know it, right? And so that's good because you have just a clearer path on what's happening. So there was that piece of it. That eventually, it wasn't a program itself. It was kind of like the process, the support I thought I was going to have, and I didn't have it. And I felt like I was out alone and it just was overwhelming. And so I was like, you know what? No, I'll take a break. And so I did that. I took a break from it. And it always seems to happen around the same time, oddly enough, that I get motivated to look usually like an earlier part of the year, not January-ish, but like March-ish, April-ish. And then I would burn out like by like summertime, end of summer. And so that's what happened that year. Got burnt out. And I was like, you know what? Who am I? Why? And then I actually did some reflection. Like after that initial, like, you know, this sucks. Why are people not supporting me? I took some time to really sit down and be like, who are you doing this for and why you're doing it? And that was helpful because I realized I was trying, I felt like I was on a time clock or I was like in a race, but I was like, oh, for what? With who? You know what I mean? Like literally the people around me, like I said, my immediate family, they already had their homes and I felt like I needed to catch up, but I'm like, but why? Like they're married and they got kids and they have more of a reason to need a bigger space to build wealth and all that. So, and I'm like, you know, having children, like you're not married, doing that process on your own, again, with your own finances, your own credit, is not easy, and they didn't have that experience, so they don't understand necessarily the experience you're going through. Not to say the experience was easy either, but it's not the same experience. And it's not something to do because you want to catch up. It's not something to do because you got to prove something to someone. No, do it because that's what you want to do and you're ready to do. So that was kind of like a cold splash of water on the face to make me go, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to chill, because I don't know. I wasn't steadfast on the reason I was doing it. And so I was like, all right, I'm chill. I'm cool. And so the following year, I said, you know what? I'm going to do it for me. I know I'm doing it alone. I know I'm not going to do it with any support, and that includes financially or otherwise. I feel like, yeah, I was in a relationship the first year I tried and the second year, but again, there was no support coming from that end either. And so I was just in a mindset of like, you know what, it's fine. That's not true. The first year for sure, the second year my relationship ended. And so I was like, all right, you're doing this on your own, so you're good. Like, it's whatever. You'll do this and it'll be for you. And then again, went through the process, did a different program, which I felt was a lot more helpful. They kind of guided you through the process a lot better. Did that, but then I kept hitting hiccups. Like, I had issue finding like a realtor who wanted to work with me. It was just a lot, because these realtors out here, no offense to anybody who's a realtor, hopefully you guys are personable and doing your job. But there are some folk out here, boy, that does not make the process easy at all, and it's super frustrating. Dealing with that, because you're already scared and overwhelmed and anxious, and then like to have somebody who's just like really trying to make a quick buck off of you, or really trying to push you in a direction you don't want to go, or just non-communicative, it's annoying as heck. And yeah, so I had issues with that, to the point I was just like, clearly this isn't for me. Like, this has to be a sign. Like, I need to chill. Like, maybe I need to wait until I can do this with someone, like being a partner or something. So I took a break again. And then this year came about, and I was like, look, and I was writing my goals in January, and this was the third year I was writing the same goal down about buying a home. And for me, it's, yes, I want a home, but it's also going to be to build wealth, of course. And more so, this is going to be a rental income for me. I'm going to live there, but it's also going to be somewhere I can also rent out. So I'm like, yo, this is the third time you're writing this goal out. Like, sis, like, you got to do this thing. And for me this year, it felt different because, one, though I still wanted the support of a partner, of course, it wasn't going to be financial. It really was just to be emotional, and to kind of like, they don't even have to have the experience of buying a home, but just being willing to be there with me while I'm learning the process. Because hopefully anybody that I would be with, I would want them to also have that vision, you know, want something similar. So then if they're not there, they can learn what the process looks like. But yeah, so this year I was like, all right, I'm gonna set out for that. You know, I was very intentful, and that's, I'm gonna do this. Like, I need to accomplish this thing before the end of the year. Again, it's not a time, like a timestamp, but it's for me. I'm like, this is 3 years in a row. You got the same goal down. Like, come on, girl, come on. And so I forged forward, trying to buy this home. And of course, things started out like, okay, boom, I'm focused. I'm gonna do this. Did it. You know what I'm saying? Again, paperwork, all that, got it. I was still saving my money. I was still doing what I needed to do. So in that part was good. My credit was clean. So I was straight. And then it's like, boom, hiccup. You know what I mean? Like, oh, either like the counselor you're dealing with, it's something with them, or then it was like finding a real estate agent. I think that's what took the most time and really started to actually deflate me, because I started the process in June and I didn't get a real estate agent till mid-August, end of August. And so that's the whole time you're sitting waiting. And for me, it's like, when I'm ready to go, I'm ready to go. And if I have too much time to sit there on my hands, I'm gonna be like, yo, forget it. But then I finally got an agent, thank goodness. And again, I can share that person with you if you're interested. I would gladly share that information with you. Just DM me. And he has been helpful. You know, he has definitely talked me through things, answered questions, and I'm very grateful for him. And so once we got together, and it was pretty much hitting the ground running. And for me, I had very particular taste, but I also need to throw in there, I don't want to miss this point, I also got someone, because I think, again, you guys know I'm dating, right? I got a little boo-boo, that I also got someone who was supportive. And I, like, honestly, I know I wanted it, but I didn't realize how much I needed it. And I think that piece is really important. I think that's honestly helped, I think, my siblings process. They had each other, and they had their partners for sure. And I think that's so helpful. And it's been helpful for me, you know. Granted, you know how partners can be, they can be annoying. And of course, you know, you're not gonna have to say once. However, he's respectful in like respecting what I want, knowing like, okay, this ain't mine. You know what I'm saying? Like, this ain't my thing, but also not taking it to heart that, yo, she's trying to do this on her own, and not letting his pride get into it of, like, you know, whatever multiple reasons there might be why pride can be an issue. And so that's helpful. Like, anytime we got to go out and see places, he makes the time to do it with me, you know, conversations, etc. And so that's been, I didn't realize how much I needed that. And I definitely see the difference in that, because he keeps me motivated, because I'm not going to hold you. I'm not going to lie. I did it like a few times still. I'm like, going out and seeing all these houses, and you like tired, and you're like, you know, I'm never going to find what I want. And I was like, you know what? And I was again going to talk myself into maybe not this year. He was like, no. You said you wanted this thing. You're going to accomplish this goal. You're going to do it. And I'm just like, well, excuse me. But I needed that, you know. I definitely need that little push, and I appreciate him for it. So having him, having my realtor, who, again, you know, he out here trying to make his money, and I respect the hustle, you know. It's been a better process. Still not an easy one, but definitely a better process. So... where am I now in the process? I'm a little bit, like I said earlier, in the thick of things, I guess. Those of you who's bought a home before, you know, it's a very, how can I say, shaky, it's a shaky thing, I think. I don't know, for me, I don't think you'll feel stable in the process until you got the keys in your hand. And that's how I'm feeling. You know, my partner keeps asking me like, oh, are you excited? How do you feel? And I was like, I don't feel anything. And I think that's protective to be like, don't get your hopes up, because girl, you know, like, these people are fickle out here. I mean, home sellers are fickle. Developers, if they're selling a home, just everything. There's so many hands in the pie. Any one of those hands can mess up the dish, you know what I mean? And so I keep that in the forefront of my mind. And so, like, I'm like, you know, keep your feelings at bay. You know, if I do like something, you know, I make it clear, and I'm like, yeah, you don't like this, and I would like to have this. And so that's happened. Let's say I thought I found my dream home about 3 times already, I think. Yeah, honestly, about 3 times. Again, those of you who are familiar with the process, you know, you find a home and you got to put your bid in, right? You got to make an offer. You got to hope the offer is accepted. So, yeah, there's a lot of that happening. And for, you know, the first one, like, offer was accepted. Like, the second one, what happened? I believe, no, yeah, it was like, all right, boom. Like, all right, they accepted offer, and now we're, you know, looking at contracts, and like, they're throwing in all kinds of crazy stuff. Like, there's a type of headache I just don't want to deal with. I don't want the place to have tenants already. I want to choose my own tenants. You know, that's for me, I need to be involved in, yeah, I need to be as involved as possible. And so having certain things there, and you're gonna throw it at me after the fact, I'm like, no, that's not cool. And if my spirit don't sit with something, I ain't doing it. So, and I don't know, after a little while, I'm just like, nah, something about here just doesn't feel good. So I got pulled out of that. Then found another place, and this one was like a place that I liked, but not a place that I thought I was gonna actually put, you know, like, get, if that makes sense. It was like super beautiful home, brand spanking new. Why not? It was one of those, like, why not? You know, let's put an offer and see what happens. And they accepted it. And so now it's like, all right, you know, we're in contract, and we're just like waiting for all these other pieces to come in. So for those who aren't familiar, right? So you find a home, you put in an offer gets accepted, hopefully. Then you are in attorney review. Then attorneys are looking over the contract to make sure ain't nobody trying to get nobody. You agree to things, you can ask things to be removed, you ask things to be added. Once that's done, then you are in contract. And during that time, there's a certain amount of time for you to get a home inspection to see if any damage that needs to be fixed, repairs and things that need to be done. Then an appraisal happens. The bank comes, sees, okay, how much is this house really worth? Even though the person might be selling it for an amount, doesn't mean that's what it's worth. And then you can really get into your negotiations, and then hopefully things go good. You get approved for your loan, and you're good to go. And then hopefully you got keys in your hand. And this process can take anywhere from 30 days to 60 days to 90 days, depending, right? Hopefully, I think on average, well, that's not even true. I can't even say on average. The different states, I think, varies. But from what I've heard, for most people, it takes literally from 30 to 90 days, a month to 3 months. I hope not to take that long, but who knows? And my mind is set for, you know what, if it happens that way, it happens that way, and I'm not going to sweat it because it'll give me time to figure out everything else and the moving. But anyway, so right now I'm in that space of waiting to do my inspection. And I don't know how I feel. Like, I'm excited, but then I'm like, I want to get this over with, but then I'm like, I don't, right? It's like, because it's like, oh my gosh, you're going to have to move, and now you're going to have to do this, and you're going to have to do that. You got buy furniture. And these are some things that are exciting, but also like, oh Lord, like, you know what I mean? It's a lot. But I'm out here trying to be an adult and adulting and stuff, you know what I'm saying? Trying to build wealth. And it's something I really want. I'm ready to just start a different chapter in my life, meaning just be in a different space. For those who know me, they know I hate change. Those who don't know me wouldn't see that about me. They just, like, I'm usually trying things and pushing myself to do things, but it's really a push. Like, inside I'm like, no, I don't want to do it. But I've grown to a space where I've forced myself to do it because I don't want to be. I love her very, very much. Okay, like my mom, she's so afraid to do things, and so she'll rather stay in a situation or a place for a while, a long time, to the point where then she can't take it anymore before she moves out of that space or place. And I'm like, nah, I can't be like that. And that's literally what motivates me, because at the end of the day, we're supposed to be better than our parents. You know what I mean? They did their thing. They sacrificed, the parents, the grandparents, to build a better life for us. So we can't stay here and take that sacrifice and then just do the exact same thing. It has to be better. I'm using their experience to push me to a place that I want to be, and so that my kids now can use my experience to push them even further. And that is my hope. So I do things regardless if I'm afraid. And this right here is a very scary thing to be, because I'm moving away, and so I'm gonna be away from my family and my friends and things that I know. And it's scary but exciting for me at the same time. And I know it's gonna be a good thing for me, and I honestly feel that way. It's just it's gonna take some time for me to get used to, even though it's gonna be my home, for it to feel like my home. Because it's the same thing with my apartment. Like, it took a while for it to feel like mine, and I know that's gonna be the same thing. And then being a landlord, like, oh gosh, who knows what else that comes with. I mean, I do know, I looked into it, and I also know from other people's experiences, and so that's another hat that I'll have to wear. But at the same time, that's progress for me. You know, that's my life moving into a direction that I want it to go. And of course, you want more, you're gonna have to deal with more. And it's about being open to that idea. It's about accepting that piece of life, that life will grow, life will change, and it is what you make it, you know? And so that's been that. And I hope to have some good news for you all next time. I give you an update about this. I hope it's really, really good news. And I will be hosting a housewarming. And so, you know, keep a lookout for that. I don't know if it's going to be a public one, of course. But for those who are listening that know a sister, I will be sending some information. You know, it's probably going to take me a little while. But hopefully that's something that's in the near future, and I am looking very forward to that for sure. In today's Connection Corner, I leave you with a quote that I got from Instagram from the Good Quote page. It reads, "I honor my progress. It might be hard today, but easy tomorrow, and hard again the next day. I cannot expect myself to be the same every day. It's important for me to meet myself where I am." Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of the Oasis podcast. I hope you were able to find something that resonated with you on your journey. Don't forget to subscribe anywhere you listen to podcasts and YouTube. Rate us and leave us a review and comment on Apple Podcasts, iTunes, and YouTube. Share your favorite episode and like us on Instagram and Facebook. If you have any questions, comments, want to be a guest, or any show ideas, contact us at ajaysoasis@gmail.com. That's AAYJAYSOASIS@gmail.com, or direct message us on Instagram and Facebook.